Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a really cute little gingerbread house, and I'll show you step by step from start to finish how to do this on your own. We're going to be going over line work today mostly. There's a lot of line work in this, so if that's something you've ever struggled with, that's what we'll be focusing on tonight. Let's get started. All right, so I'm using a 12-inch canvas. Got my husband Mark with me in chat tonight.
Hey there, everybody.
Yeah.
I am here.
Sorry, I almost forgot.
That's okay.
I used to do it in the intro and getting used to the new. Yeah, so welcome. Glad you're here. If you're new to our channel, we do these on Tuesday nights live. Paint all the way through from start to finish, so you see the good, bad, and the ugly, all the stages in between. And hopefully we'll end up with something fun at the end. I haven't painted this ahead of time, so you're going to get to see me work it out as we go. Again, I said we're using a 12 by 12 canvas here, really whatever size you wanted to. You could probably crop it to, crop this part out and do it on a long canvas too if you wanted to. This is one that is pretty whimsical as far as like we're not going to be too technically focused on getting the angles and everything just perfect on this. It's a little bit of whimsy is fine for something like this, so a little bit of wonk is okay. I would say don't stress if you're not good at drawing. I will have the traceable for you of my finished painting. I do it from the finished painting so that your traceable is exactly what I painted, and you can have it to go, and that's available on Patreon. All right, so let's go over colors. I've got mostly neutrals and maybe a little bit of blue to make some greens. So that's what we're going with here. We've got burnt sienna, or I'm sorry, burnt umber. Wow, I've got it twice there. It's kind of weird the way it's cutting off right there. Let's just the angle of the camera. Burnt umber, burnt sienna, raw sienna. That's a new one. I was thinking about Naples yellow, but I didn't use that one. I decided on raw sienna because raw sienna is almost the exact color of gingerbread. If you don't have raw sienna, I'll show you how to mix something similar. Yellow oxide or yellow ochre, and then a blue, either ultramarine or phthalo blue. Unbleached titanium, mine is phthalo blue green shade. Unbleached titanium, this one is Titan buff in a fluid, the fluid paint, and then titanium white and the fluid titanium white. So I have heavy body and fluid in these two colors. And then some gloss glazing liquid in case we need to glaze, which we might, I don't know. So probably we'll glaze our shadows on here. So we got lots to cover today, so I'm just going to jump right in here. I've already kind of pre-drawn my house here, and one thing to note is I kind of tried to figure out how tall I want it. So that's kind of where I start, is just be kind of doing the roof and like our baseline here, and then once you got those two, then kind of center it on this way, so I know that I want this to kind of end right in here, and I'm angling it out pretty good. This side is almost straight. It's slightly angled, but because we're looking at it straight on, it's not going to be as angled as this side, and then this side is going to angle out kind of parallel to this line, but maybe a little bit more dramatic. And then down here, there's going to be a line here. Now our horizon line is going to be across this way, so you can mark that out. And then if you wanted to be real technical about it, you could draw a line out, way out the heck over here, and then you'd have your lines for your roof line here. You just pick a point on that. So say if my horizon line is here and I decide that this is my vanishing point, then all of these lines, this one would all be, anything parallel on the same parallel side would be pointing out to it. So obviously we don't want it that close. You can make it that close. We're going to make ours kind of going out this way, so we'll angle the roof line out here. This one is going to go slightly down, and then this one is going to go slightly up to meet up with it. So that's kind of where those angles are coming from. Then let's kind of slope out our roof so it's a little bit kind of curved like that, and then let's curve this side. Now I've already marked my angles here, so what you need to do is figure out, once you get this side done, these 4 lines here, or these, you know, this little first box here done, and really it's kind of going like that, somewhere here like that. You make an X through that, and then your line straight up is going to tell you where your roof line starts. So wherever you want to make your roof line start, and then I'm going to curve it out from there. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it out a little bit on this side and a little bit on this side, and leave a little bit of that showing underhang right there. So there's our basic kind of shape. And then in here, in this little area here, now we know where to put our door too. So we put our door, and then just kind of follow these lines here and here somewhere for our little window, like that. Also along that midline so that it's even. And then on this side, we'll have 2 lines also kind of going out, sort of in between these 2 this way, and do our little windows, one here and then another one in here, and then we'll just round off those tops. Okay, so this one closer to this side a little bit is going to be a little bit smaller than this one, just for that perspective to work. Okay, so again, if you get it off a little bit with this kind of thing, I wouldn't worry about it too much because it's seasonal. It's kind of supposed to be whimsical, so I would just, you know.
And if you've seen any gingerbread houses I've made, they are not.
That's true.
Structurally
That's
sound.
Right. We tried doing gingerbread house contests one year because our daughter-in-law that did it with her family. So we're like, how hard could it be?
Exactly.
We should do that. That's a great idea. Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, it was so frustrating.
Like 2 hours in,
we bought kits, and that royal icing wouldn't set, and so we were all just sitting there holding our things, trying to get them to set up. We didn't get very far. It was very frustrating.
The best part was letting our grandson smash them.
Yeah, yes, that was fun. All right, so I'm going to make a gray for the background, and ultramarine blue. I don't have ultramarine blue, which is my normal go-to ultramarine blue and burnt umber. I use phthalo blue for this one, so our gray is going to be a little bit more green-ish, which is fine. If I wanted a little bit more blue, I'm just add a little bit more blue. I think I do want it a little bit more of a blue-gray. Can use the burnt sienna if I want it to be a little bit more teal, but I think this is gonna work. And I think I want to make it, I use the unbleached titanium too, but I think I'm gonna use the white now. Unbleached titanium has yellow oxide and burnt sienna in it with white, so all right, so that looks good. We'll just use that as our gray, and I'm just going to fill in most of this background. I used kind of a reddish chalk so that it would kind of match up with our gingerbread house feel, and I'm just going to dab this on. If you want to make it a little easier for that paint to absorb, you can spray just a little bit of water on the canvas, not too much because you don't want it to make your paint more transparent, but that'll work, I think. Just getting that paint on there quickly. Ooh, it's picking up a lot of that chalk there. Let me go this way so that I can smooth back over it. Maybe pick up a little bit more white too. The white will be more opaque, so if you're having trouble covering anything, just add a little bit more white. You can always go back over it with your color later. So white is your friend when you're trying to get your base layer down. Okay, that's fun. And I kind of want to make sure these are both going, so these are going to go down this way. This vanishing point is going to be this way. It's almost straight on though. So these two should be about the same point, which that looks like they're pretty close. So I think we're on the right track right there. I'm going to paint over those candy canes. Those are our if we have time thing. I'm not going to put them in for sure. We'll just see how it goes tonight. The last gingerbread house I did, it took me like 12 hours. So probably aren't going to be here till tomorrow. So I think we want to get this done fast tonight. Mark's got Oak Island to watch.
We have a schedule to keep.
Right. It's Tuesday night. Oak Island's back.
Oh yeah, baby.
Okay, that looks good. I like that gray. That looks very kind of soothing, wintry. Let's add a little bit more warmth down here at the bottom. Maybe a little bit more white. Your flat surfaces will catch the light more, so makes sense that our ground would be a little bit lighter than our... Actually, our sky is usually the lightest, so I take that back. The sky is usually the lightest and then your ground, so maybe you want to go the opposite and go darker with this. Just thought about what I was doing. Okay, let's take backs. Starting to say something wrong there. So let's get some blue. We'll add a little bit of blue down here. I wanted just a little bit different tone than our background. Just slightly different. All right, getting some more white. Let's just use just white right here on the horizon line. Coming up. I always like to make my horizon line a little bit lighter. That way it kind of pushes back the perspective. There's a lot of wet paint here. You can see I'm just like laying down paint over wet paint and it's not wanting to stick. So if I put it on and just barely touch it, then I can get it to kind of stick. But if I keep like pushing at it and pushing hard down on the paint, then it'll blend with what's back there. So if I just want it to kind of set on top and just barely touch it there. Okay, so getting a little bit of white there, not a lot. Let's get a little bit of our blue and some of the yellow oxide. And I'm going to make a really pretty green here. And maybe add a little bit of that Phthalo or that Unbleached Titanium to it. Some of that gray from the background. I'm adding enough yellow that it's kind of a soft sagey green is kind of what I'm going for. And I'm just, again, blending it into that gray. So basically, it's the background color plus a little bit more blue and a little bit more yellow. And let's just go ahead and do a couple of really nice little trees. And I'm going to do it while that background's wet. And that way they're going to be really kind of soft and blendy. I'm just going to dab and turn my brush this way and that as I come down, widening it out with like an A shape in mind. A little bit darker in the center, a little bit softer as it goes out. Okay, there we go. Let's do another one here. Maybe do this one a little shorter. Just using the edge of that brush to brush through. And if you want to wait for that paint to dry, you can just maybe add a little bit more of the background gray to this so that it goes soft on the edges. And then as it gets down to kind of your horizon line area, I'm just going to kind of tap off and maybe do a couple little dabby brush strokes that come downward. So wherever that horizon line is, just kind of a couple soft downward little brush strokes. can go back in kind of toward the middle and add a few little. Really, they kind of come down as they start up, and then about a third or quarter of the way down, those branches start to kind of turn and face downward. There we go. All right, good enough. We're going to add snow onto this, so I'm starting out darker than it's going to end up, but this will be good for starts. And then we'll just fill in our whole gingerbread house with our gingerbread house color. So the main color is going to be this raw sienna, and then we'll add a little bit darker color on this edge of it. So let's go ahead and just fill that all in right here. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. Starting to get like in the Christmassy spirit. Starting to feel more like Christmas. We've got our Christmas tree set up in the living room at least.
Yep, needs to be fluffed.
Needs to be fluffed and needs to, have all the stuff put on it, but at least it's there.
One step at a time.
I always feel like if I don't get at least my decorations up by Thanksgiving, especially with it being this late in the year, that it's just like, what is the point? It takes me a while to get it done. I'm adding a little bit of burnt umber here to this because it's looking a little bit too yellow to me. It's going to definitely take a couple coats to get it covered too. But yeah, it's last year I looked at my schedule and I had like upcoming videos that I had to record for a side project, and my schedule was insane last year. I was like, I'm so glad I'm not having to do all that extra recording and things. So I have a little bit more time, but I do want to get our Christmas decorations done next week when Mark's got the week off for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So it'll be fun.
Yeah. Starting this Friday.
I know. You're lucky. I'm going to try to take most of the week off too, as much as I can. All right, so there we go. And we'll go a little bit darker in the windows. And we'll flesh those out later, but for now we'll just kind of paint them in. I'm seeing a lot of these gingerbread houses everywhere this season. I mean, gingerbread, has always been a classic, but I'm seeing a lot of the gingerbread houses, I should say, with just the neutral gingerbread house is very hot in decorating right now. So I thought, well, let's paint one. I painted one full color. Like I said, it took me a long time. It was a very detailed one. We did a really ultra realistic and lots of candies and stuff for Patreon a few years back. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can check out my website, thankfulheart.com. It's on there. You can see it, and then if you're a patron, you can watch it. I think it was a challenge video, so it was the higher tier, $15 tier. But yeah, that was a fun one. And then I was supposed to do it a couple years ago, and I got sick. That was the year before I knew that my gallbladder needed to come out. So I was really sick that year, and I had to cancel it because of that. So we're back to doing it, and this time it's a little bit different than I had originally planned, but I like it. I think it'll be fun. Having a little bit more neutral palette. That's the name of the game this Christmas. I got a lot of full color Christmas stuff. I'm trying to do a little bit more neutral palette on my tutorials this year. All except for the first one that I did, the poinsettia was full on color.
Ooh. Speaking of,
Oh yeah, I made a limited edition ornament out of that poinsettia, so it's available on the Teespring shop. It's called Spring now. They changed the name, so but you get the idea. We're gonna just. Uh-oh. Good.
yeah, so I just pasted a link to the Etsy shop, or to the actual ornament in the Etsy shop.
Not Etsy.
Teespring shop.
Yeah.
I posted a link to the Teespring.
You did the right link. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just so you know.
It's the right link
Good.
for the ornament.
Good.
It's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, it's the digital drawing version because I didn't want to have to cut out the painting version, so it's my original digital drawing. And I like how it turned out. It's cute. And we'll do a yellow oxide-ish color here for the roof. Roof line being angled. Well, your vertical are usually the darker, and then this part would be a little bit lighter, so the angled. The sky is your lightest, flat, facing the sky, second, angled, third, and then vertical would be your darkest. In this case, we're fading them out, so we're cheating with the trees, but if you make the other things correct, it'll kind of automatically fool the eye. It's just an easy way of manipulating your painting to create depth where there isn't much here. So just doing slight differences, nothing crazy, but it'll register.
Got a question about the background.
Mm-hmm.
What other? Oh, I just lost it. Which other background would you do for this if they don't want to do the grayish?
They don't like the
color?
gray.
Didn't say that. They just wanted to know.
No. I would pick a color that you're using. So pick just anything, any of these colors that you're using, or add a color. So if you're wanting to do color on yours, then you could, but I would just pick a color that's already in the painting. So light blue would be pretty, a light green would be pretty, anything like that, even a light, like yellowish, beige, unbleached titanium would work. This light green, then you just make your trees a little bit darker. But yeah, light blue. I would just say I would make it not too saturated. So whatever you do, I would not go too dark with it, just on this one. Although, I guess you could really do whatever you want. On the poinsettias, I made my background black, so it's not like you have to follow any particular set of rules, but, just depends on the mood you're trying to set. You could go real dramatic, I guess, and do like a navy, dark gray. Have it at nighttime. Sprinkle it with stars. I've done, the one that I did had a bokeh effect background. The other one that I did, and like a tree, like it was setting, out. I think it was a photograph with the tree in the background, and it had that kind of sparkly bokeh effect on it. So, all right, so let's let that dry. It's I probably need you to take this and dry it for me, hun, because it's still, the background's still not dry enough for me to really work on. Okay. So thank you.
And they want a follow up on the colors. So what about like a purple blue mix or a peach color maybe?
I would not use purple because we're not using that color in anything unless you use purple in your house. So when you're trying to go for harmony in your color scheme, you want to have colors that are used in other places. You don't want the only time you use that color to be in your background. So, but we can do all kinds of different colors with this. Like we can get, you know, you can have a teal with burnt umber or burnt sienna and not ultra, phthalo blue. But if you have ultramarine, then you could get like a purpley blue. This won't do a purpley blue. Ultramarine would do it if you add just white to it. This would probably be a little too bright. So if you're going to do just your blue, I would probably add a brown or neutralizing something, or use unbleached titanium with it, just so that it's not quite so saturated. See how that looks a little softer and more natural. Then if you want to, you know, make it more green, you can add that raw sienna. Let me mix up raw sienna for us so that we know. This is basically very similar to the color of the background though, you know, so that I used. It's a gray green. So burnt umber and yellow oxide. And we can get a color very similar to our raw sienna. Maybe a little bit more yellow, but you get the idea. So these four are very, very interchangeable. You know, they're all those earthy colors. So we'll have all of these going on here. Really fun. Okay, cute. So let's do a little bit more with this background. And I'm going to use my white, and I don't have any of my gray left. So I'm just going to get a little bit of my burnt umber and grab a little bit of this blue that I was just doing. That had the phthalo blue and the burnt sienna in it, that one. And some glaze. But I want to go a little bit lighter than I went before with my background. So a little bit lighter and a little bit of glaze. And here I'm just going to kind of softly brush across and try to streak in some of this lighter color. Now, if it's like really obvious, then get a little closer to your background in value. But see, just trying to give it a smoky look. Give it another coat, like right here. It's really obvious where that tree line is, or that house edge is. So I'm going to try to give it a little bit more coat right there, a little bit more solid, and then just blend it out. I'm just breaking up the streakiness that I'm seeing in that background. Okay. And yeah, that looks all right. And then let's grab some of that white and brush it over that gray. And then I'm just going to dry brush it over this foreground here and create my snowdrifts around my house. Just laying my brush down and dragging it with not too much paint on the brush here. And if we want to leave a little path here, I should have left it a little bit darker right in the middle, so we can go light on either side to kind of create a little darker path right here. Go right up to our trees. And then let's add, whoops, I'm going to keep that paint color wet. There, my green. See if I can get a little bit of it. Oh, nope, it's dry. Nope, there we go. There's a little bit of there. Just a little bit of that white, and let's just dab in some little white bits on our trees, because if they've got some snow. Think about where those branches are, and then just kind of dab that snow on the part that, the snow, the branches are like a cup almost, and that snow kind of sets on the ends of those branches. So just dab in that. I might get a little bit darker right there. You can put as much or as little detail into these trees as you want. They don't really have to even be in there. If you want to just do background, you can. It doesn't have to be fully fleshed out in the background. Just a solid background is fine. But I just wanted a little bit of color, just a slight bit of color, just so that it's not so all gray, just all neutral, Okay, there we go. Let's go a little bit more snow here. I'm just gonna get some white, and I'm using heavy body acrylic. I find it works better for dry brushing than the fluid acrylic. So fairly thick paint. And just dragging it kind of horizontally. I'm trying to get that kind of broken look. Okay, let's do a couple of snowflakes in the sky. Actually, we'll do those later. And I want to splatter now though, because I want my background to have lots of snow, but I don't want too much of it to be on my actual thing here. So, gingerbread house. Thank you. I've already lost my words. It's one of those nights. I will splatter it, but I want to do more back here first, and then we'll splatter on top of the gingerbread house itself later. But for now, we'll have just the splatters in the background where I want it a little bit more heavy, and it's just easier to do it now than try to cover my gingerbread house all up. Okay. There we go. As easy as that. All right, so just using the fan brush and fluid paint. So the fluid paint is the key. Let's start adding some texture to this. So I think I'm going to get a little bit smaller brush. Let's get a 3/8 inch Deerfoot Stippler. And I've also got a 3/8 inch blender because it's like a flat edge, so it'll give me a little bit more control. Let me wipe off my bits of snow that got on my house just for now. I don't want those in there right now. All right. So let's add some texture to our gingerbread house. It has that kind of, baked texture. So I'm going to take the burnt umber and I'm going to tap it into this wet pile that I had here that had the yellows and raw sienna and yellow oxide. And I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. Try not to get too much of a pattern going here. The idea is just to have like a little bit of a stippled looking texture so that it has that kind of gingerbread feel. So going a little bit darker, and not really worried too much about this inner area because I'm going to really just go dark there. That's going to be kind of a solid dark on the inside of that. But what I don't want is to have real obvious pattern of any kind. So I'm tapping back and forth and up and down, side to side, going right up to the edge there. And you can see I haven't reloaded, so you don't have to have a lot of paint on here to do this. Just tapping. Now, if you are worried about your line work, which is one of the things that we were talking about, then you may want to just leave your gingerbread house a solid color. So this is taking it to another level, being a little bit more another level of difficulty, I should say. So doing it this way, having this kind of stippled background where this is going to be, you know, basically a permanent layer where we're not going to really be able to paint if we made a mistake, say, with our line work. We're not going to be able to like replicate this exactly very easily. Like we probably could fudge it a little bit, but it might be a little bit difficult. So I would say just give it a second coat of your original layer, or save this part and tap this around in just the open areas after you do your line work, although I think that would be a little bit more difficult, but that's an option. So just all that to say, this may not be a beginner friendly technique, if that's, you know, it's easy right now, but if you struggle with your line work and you think that you might want to like touch up your background, you might not want to do this part because it will be, again, harder to come back from, harder to fix, you know, once you do this. Okay, so here's that little house. It's not impossible though. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, this is so hard. I'm going to try to keep it fairly simple, but you can already see it kind of, you know, this compared to that definitely has that kind of more realistic look to me. I'm going to use the burnt umber and a little bit darker now, just a little bit more like almost solid burnt umber. This might be a little too dark, but we'll see once we get it on here. Maybe a little bit more of that raw sienna mixed with it. Remember, this side was raw sienna and burnt umber mixed together, and then the roof was mostly yellow oxide, and this side was the raw sienna. So we just kind of went a little bit darker with this side. Okay, that looks good. The windows here are going to be dark too, so I kind of covered up all of that window. So let's go ahead and kind of just tap in where I think those are going to be. Somewhere in there. Okay, looks close. Now, one thing with this is like right in here where I was just tapping that darker color, it's not wanting to lay down any more color. It's like trying to lift off, and that's what will happen if you stipple too long in one place. So you just kind of have to let your layers dry. Let's go ahead and try to get that dark up under that eave there where it's visible. Okay, not too bad. And then on the roof, I'm not going to do a ton. I'm going to get some unbleached titanium and some of that yellow oxide. And I still have that burnt umber in my brush, so it's gonna, we're just breaking up that color. Mainly just trying to create a texture, that's all. Okay, looks good enough. All right, and then one last time, we're gonna do this one more time. We're gonna do a lighter color this time. So we did our mid-tone, middle value color. We did our darker, on top with the stippling. So the mid-tone was our base layer. The darker was our stippling first. And now we're going to do our highlight layer with our lightest tone. And the highlight layer is going to be much less visible, like we're not going to do as much on here. So I'm getting yellow oxide and unbleached titanium, and I'm going to use a very light touch. And just barely tap. I just want it to be very, very subtle. Your highlight is always going to be that, just like the little sprinkling of salt to season the end of the painting. You don't want it to be the really bold. It'll overpower everything.
You always tell me I don't put enough salt.
Hmm?
Said you always tell me I don't put enough salt.
I know.
Hey, what could they substitute raw sienna with?
I just mixed it, burnt sienna and yellow oxide.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You can add a little bit of burnt sienna, or I'm sorry, burnt umber and yellow oxide or yellow ochre, either one. Really, they're both kind of interchangeable. I think yellow ochre is a little bit more yellowish. Yellow oxide is just like the synthetic version of yellow ochre. So they're very similar. All right, getting the raw sienna here on the burnt umber side. But yeah, the raw sienna is pretty close to what I mixed there when I was doing this one here. This was the raw sienna, and that was burnt umber and yellow oxide, which probably could have used a little bit more yellow. The only reason I grabbed it is because it was gingerbread color, so, and I have it, so might as well use it, right? But don't buy it if you don't already have it. It's not, you can mix it really easily. Just thought I'd save myself a little bit of time tonight. Definitely not something you'd have to use. I would really only buy it if you do a lot of like animal paintings or landscapes, because it can come in handy for certain things, but it's not a color I use all the time in my palette. Okay, there we go. And I'm doing a little tiny bit on the dark parts of the windows and door too. So the door and the windows also have a little bit of this. And then let's get my unbleached titanium for the roof here. And again, if you see a really obvious pattern, like sometimes your brush starts making a mark that is really obvious, and it'll, it'll just be all you see because you've just got this little wing shape or whatever, crescent shape or whatever that just is happening over and over again. Reloading your brush can help kind of get rid of that, or changing and kind of twisting it side to side, so and making sure you're moving always up and down and back and forth. So I'm never just tapping straight on one spot. I'm always kind of, even when I'm trying to do this line, I'm kind of going back up and working my way back up to that line and not going dab, 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 dab and outlining. Because if you outline, you're just going to end up with a really obvious line there. It's not going to look right. So just back and forth and dab. I mean, you'll end up covering it eventually, but you can even tape off if you have a really hard time not outlining things. Then you can tape it off so that you can go over the top of that line so that you definitely won't get that outline look. There. Okay. There we go. There's our gingerbread house. I deliberately left that a little bit light because it kind of looks like the seam there of the front of it, and we'll be putting some icing over it, so it really doesn't matter. Okay, that looks good. Let's start on our icing.
All right.
Make sure this dries really well before we do our next step, which mine is not, but no, it's fine. Not worried about it. Let me clean my palette. Yeah, go ahead and take it. Just make sure that's 100%, because that way, that's the key. If you're doing line work, it is forgivable. Like, it's more forgivable than I think people realize. Forgiving, not forgivable. Forgiving. In that you can wipe it off with acrylics, and I don't know that a lot of, especially beginner artists, realize that you actually have time when you first put down your color to wipe it off. So if you take your time and make sure your background is always dry as you're doing your painting, or work in an area and work your way across so that this is drying and you have wet paint over here where you can wipe it off if you need to, and stay away from the wet paint. You can correct most mistakes as soon as they happen. And usually with lining, you can see it as soon as it happens. And so you're able to just kind of quickly wipe it off and try again. And I wouldn't do it in the same spot over and over again, so if you're having a real hard time with a particular technique or a particular, shape or whatever, I would practice it on paper first. Just get yourself a notebook like I have here. One of these Strathmore mixed media notebooks, something watercolor notebook with good heavy paper meant for painting on. They're great for practice. And so if you're having trouble with your line work, I would practice on paper first and then take it to the canvas, and that way you won't have as many frustrations. You can also use a pen. I hereby give you permission to do this with a pen. There is nothing wrong with that, especially when you're first learning. I mean, my goodness, painting should be fun. So whatever gives you the joy, take it, like whatever tool works best for you, that gives you the easiest time and most fun time possible, do that. You can always work on your skills in your, downtime. And I've got a new course that I'm doing right now on Etsy. This is not a commercial for that, but it kind of turned into, just made me think of it, where I'm kind of showing the breakdown of different techniques and things, and having like little homework assignments that people can do in their free time at home, so that when they do come to a tutorial, they've already practiced some of these things, and so it's easier for them. So having like a paper notebook is one of my number one most helpful things, I think, for learning, especially line work, because it can be a little bit daunting. All right, so I'm going to use a fairly chunky brush, because this line work is not, it's icing, so it's not super thin. So I'm going to use, I think, a 2 round here, or a 4 round in this is the 6100 series, and this one is the Princeton VelvetTouch. The VelvetTouch is a softer, so if I'm having trouble getting my lines smooth enough, I'll probably switch from this one to this one, but this one will push the paint around a little bit easier for me. What you do want to make sure that you do is use a thin paint. So that's the number one with line work, is your paint has to be thin. If your paint is too thick, you won't be able to push it around on the canvas enough to get thin lines. And then holding your brush upright is the other main thing. So I'm going to be, when I'm doing my line work, I'm going to be holding my brush like this. It looks uncomfortable, looks weird, but I am holding it so that brush is directly over. And that's the only way you can really control it, because if you're trying to do a line with a brush and you're pushing against or pulling it, you're going to have to turn the canvas to pull it in the right direction. But if you've just got the very, very tip of the brush touching it, then you can move your hand around wherever you want. And I'm moving my hand from my elbow, not my hand really much. There's very minute movements in my hand, maybe like at the very beginning or at the very end, where I might be pulling a little bit and lifting up. But for the most part, I'm just going to be setting my brush down and moving my whole hand like this, just holding it in place with the tip just barely, maybe barely angled, and just running it in all different directions. So I would practice that. Just hold your brush the right way and just practice moving your hand around and see if you can get a free flowing movement. If you've got it choked up too tight and you're having to lean over it, you won't get a good line. And if you have it too far back, you also won't be able to do it. So it has to be kind of just right in that perfect spot where your fingers are out of the way, the tip of the brush is touching, and you have free movement of your hands. And you can also kind of do like this a little bit with it. Okay, so holding it properly is really important, and having a brush that comes to a good fine point. If you don't have a good thin point brush, you're not going to be able to do it. It's going to do what it does here is going to be what comes out. Like if you have a brush that's all frayed and fuzzy, it's not going to give you smooth lines ever. Just not going to happen. All right, so let's go ahead and get some stuff going on here. I think I'm going to, before I do any of the finishing or the thing on here, I'm going to go ahead and define this line here, which is the inside of that gingerbread house. And I've just got a little bit of watered down burnt umber here, just creating that little shape there. And then let's go ahead and do it under here too, just right there where that overlaps, and maybe a little bit right here. Just watered down paint. You can use glaze here if you want to, and then just wipe the edge out, or you can use your finger to rub it to blend it out. I want a sharp line there, but down below it I want it to kind of blend down a little bit. This brush is probably not the best one to do for this. I probably needed a flat brush, but we'll get it there. There we go. Just kind of pushing that paint down so that, okay. So we've got a little bit of a drop shadow there and there. And let's go ahead and get a little bit of that on the inside of our windows as well. And the inside of that doorway right there is a little bit darkened. Just right there. And our window. This is going on transparent, so we can still see the texture. If we go too heavy with this, then all that texturing we did doesn't really matter. We'll do on this side, we'll have our darkest on this side of it, because this is the side we're seeing the inside of the window, and then over there it's just going to be kind of darkish, but okay, there we go. And I might go even darker in our darkest area. You can get a little bit of the blue, and that'll make your brown even darker, almost like black. And just go right there on that inside of those two. Now they look kind of sunken in a little bit. Okay, and then we can do it on this inner part here. A little bit right there. Okay, that looks good, I think. How are we doing on time? Okay, we're right at an hour. All right, I think we got time. So fluid paint, holding your brush right, thin brush. I think those are the key things. And then also just making sure that you wipe it off immediately. So having a towel at the ready that is clean, and some clean water to be able to wipe off. And I just usually kind of hold it like this and dip it into my water and have a damp towel ready to go. Baby wipe works fine too, and just so that I can wipe off anything that I don't like as I work right away, and it makes it really easy to fix and change things as you go. Okay.
Why are you wiping me with that wet towel?
Am I fixing you? Do you need fixing? What are you not saying?
I'm just getting rid of the things that I don't like.
Oh, I'm not doing a very good job because you've been hanging around for 30-something years. So.
I know, I'm like a stray dog. You can't get rid of me. 39 years later,
I know.
I still sit over here looking at you kind of creepily.
I know.
How you doing?
Hey. How's it going over there? All right. Now okay, so I'm going to do my white. There's a couple ways you could do your white. You could do your white with white, your brightest part, and then shadow it. Or we could do our white with the shadow and then highlight it. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to do my white with the gray dark tones first. And I'm probably only going to do 2 values of the white. And then if I need a darker value of the white, then I'll shadow certain areas. But I think just doing 2 is probably going to be sufficient. So I'm going to do a dark gray, or a gray, but I'm not going to go super dark. And it'll probably be similar to what we did for the background. So I'm mixing up the phthalo blue, which I put way too much of. I knew better than that because phthalo blue goes a long way. I don't know why I put out so much of it. Really didn't need a lot of any of these colors, did I? I've got way too much out here. So, yeah, there's food for thought there. Don't put out too much paint. You won't need it. Let's go ahead and mix up our gray, and I'm just going to put some white down here that's fluid white. Pretty good amount, and I'm just going to use what's in my knife here and mix it in. I think this is going to be too blue. I want it a little bit more gray. Like blue's fine, but I don't want it super blue. So I think let's add a little bit more brown. I don't have fluid brown, so the blue and the brown that I'm using here are going to make this fluid paint a little bit thicker. Not too bad though, because you're using only a little tiny bit. You don't need a lot of it to influence this white. The phthalo blue, though, like a little bit goes so far. So you really don't need a lot of it. And yeah, I wasted a bunch of there. So just wiping it off on my palette knife. So I want this gray to be at least like 2 shades darker. So what can help is having a little tool here to get an idea of how dark my gray is. So I think I want it to be right in here. So I can tell if it's darker by just passing it underneath. If it looks lighter or darker, so it looks a little bit darker there, and there it looks pretty close to the same. There it's going to be lighter probably. Well, I need to get the light on it, but you get the idea. Because I know it's not that dark. It's probably somewhere in between. I think it's still in this range. So I need to add a little bit more burnt umber, I think. Go a little bit darker with this. And if you have black, you could use black here. I mean, I didn't use black in this palette just because, I didn't think I needed it with my gingerbread house, but if it makes it easier for you, you can always use black, because there is black in my burnt umber, so it's not a new color that we're introducing necessarily. You could have used it in our background too, to make your gray. Okay, so there's our gray. I think that's pretty close to where I want it to be. Let me go a little bit darker over here and just create a darker version of it, just in case I need a shadow color. Yeah, I think I want to go more brown with this. I mean, I don't know. We want it to look like kind of snowy icing, so blue is fine, but in this case I think I want to go a little bit more neutral, just kind of almost 50-50. Not too brown, not too blue. Okay, that looks good. Scrape it up so you have it in the smallest form possible, just so it's easiest to pull from. And I'm going to use that in here one more time Just get that a little bit darker. It's very green, doesn't it? Kind of went green on me. So I might use a little bit of burnt sienna to get it a little bit more neutral. Because the green and red being opposite on the color wheel, we've got a reddish brown. Mixing it in our kind of blue-green mixture will help neutralize it, make it a little bit less green, hopefully. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay, let me scrape off all of that paint off of there. There's a lot of paint on there. It's kind of harder to mix a fluid paint, I'm finding, you know, than, like, it'd probably be easier just to have a fluid paint that's the color that you want your icing to be than to try to mix your fluid colors together instead of mixing a heavy body with the fluid, because the difference in the consistencies is making it a little bit trickier to mix. Feels like it's just taking a little bit longer than it should. Okay. Wiping that clean. And I think the icing is going to look good because it's going to be basically the same color as that background. So that gray should work just fine for us. So let's go back to our round brush. And I'm going to wet this brush that we were using before down so that it stays wet before I let it dry completely. I don't want it to dry completely till I can clean it out later. And if you're not cleaning out your acrylic brushes, you need to clean them out every single time you paint, even if they look clean. They never are clean fully, and you'll ruin them. So make sure every time you paint, you clean them out with soap and water. And check them on a white paper towel to make sure that you got all the paint out of it. Because it gets trapped up here in this silver part, and it hides in there. And then it dries completely firm, and you'll never get the brush back to where it was before. Okay, so I'm going to, enough for the brush safety talk. Let's just go ahead and kind of line this, and I'm going to just dab it as I go. So I'm going to start out at the top here and just dab. Not worried about my line being perfect. That totally disappeared against that background, didn't it? So let's get our white, because I need to be able to see that. There we go. Let's put our white in there. There we go. Leaving a little bit of the gray at the bottom. So this is what we're going to do with our icing. Yay, cute. Okay, let's do this side. Get my gray. And by kind of dabbing it on this way, it just makes it super easy. You don't have to worry about it being perfect. Fitzy's sighing, so are we close to 2 hours? We're only an hour in, Fitzy. Calm down.
So what other big things you want to talk about?
We got an Etsy sale that we're going to do for Thanksgiving. So Black Friday, our version of Black Friday. 40% off, which I'd never done before, but we did a sale on some of our paintings, and I had my all the work already done, so they're already, they were just ones that we'd already boxed up and everything, so they're just ready to go. So I thought, well, since we've already done the manual labor on them, we can discount it a little bit more than I normally do. I've never done 40% off ever.
Everybody gets to take advantage of it.
Yes.
Nice.
Just Yep.
So that's going to start this weekend, right?
Yes, we'll start it on Saturday.
Saturday, November 23rd, 2024.
And it'll run for 1 week only.
Okay.
So 1 week, and we'll have, most of them are the 9x12 size. I am making a very, very limited number of little mini ornaments in these little plastic frames that I got. So, and they'll be signed on the back and dated. So they're just on these little teeny tiny things.
So they're one of a kind, hand painted.
Yeah, and watercolor.
In watercolor.
Yeah,
So.
which I've never sold watercolor before. So just as many as I can get done. I think I have three or four done now. So
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, those will be fun.
Yeah, they're not prints. They're not whatever. No. They're hand painted, one of a kind.
Right.
One off.
Yes. Little watercolors.
Nice.
Framed ornaments. So, and then we also have the Teespring ornament. If you just want to buy one of the like a more ceramic version.
Okay.
Also, so just a few ornaments this year. I've never really sold ornaments before. Actually, I used to. That was like the number one thing I would always do at Christmas time, when I would do sales or my shops when I had a shop. I don't know why I'm going over the top of this. It really should be on top of the roof line, but oh well. Trying to kind of make it look like it's sort of dabbed on intentionally there. Maybe, how they do the icing kind of in swoops. Okay, there we go. Cute. I feel like this gray is probably not dark enough. So I might go a little bit darker with it here. But yeah, it's fun. So, I don't know. I had a little bit more time on my hands. This is what happens when I have time on my hands. Last year I was way too busy. So this year I have a little bit more time on my hands, so I have to make myself busy. So why not make a bunch of ornaments just before Thanksgiving? Yeah. So it's actually really fun. I enjoy doing the watercolor, so it's good practice for me.
Therapeutic.
Yeah, it is. It's therapeutic. I can do it on the couch and just kind of fiddle.
Okay, and so below this video or any of the videos, it links to your Etsy store, but also you'll be sending out a newsletter.
Yeah, if you go to my Etsy store right now, I have 0 things in there. I don't have things in there normally. I only do these sales. Last year I didn't do any, so I only do them once or twice at the most a year. So, all right. So I think I'm going to do a crisscrossy. I think you could also do like a little swoopy, like the little scallops. Here would be cute. Really, the sky's the limit on this, but I think I'm going to do the little crisscross and the dot that I had. But because these are angled, I'm trying to think of how I'm probably going to not go straight. I think I'm going to go a little bit of a swoop with my crisscross, if that makes sense, to try to, compensate for, I think this will be kind of curved. So let's go ahead and just start here. Let me think. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm trying to kind of, let's do this. Let me use my pencil. When in doubt, sketch it out, right? All right, here we go. Ooh, that rhymed. I did not mean to do that. Rhyme that way. But that works.
I like it.
That works for me. Okay. Sketching it out here. So let's do like a gentle swoop like that. Something like that, and then we'll do it this, swoop it this way, following this curve, right? So I don't know how that ended up that way. I think I want to start here. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, like that. Yeah, that's cute. That works. So these ones swoop in this way to follow this curve, and then these ones swoop in this way to follow that curve, just slightly. Again, we'll have the traceable for this, so you don't have to do this yourself. And I think I'm going to kind of keep it, maybe not go all the way to the edge with it. Maybe do it a little bit on the inside there, because I kind of liked how that looked with the sketch not quite touching the previous layer. Kind of like that. And then yeah, keeping it kind of dry brushed. I like that. All right, getting the white. And pick the light source. So my light source is here, so all the ones that are on that side are going to get white. So up above that, above the shadow. Whoop, that one went below, but that's all right. Probably need to turn this so that it's facing the right way. I went below there because my hand was in the wrong position. Okay, so then I'm going to do it on this side because this is going to be the upper part on here, I think. Okay, cute. I don't know. I don't love what's happening right here. Trying to get that little onyx. Okay, so let's do the little dots in the middle. Cute. And then the white. And I'm really loading up the paint pretty thick here. To get the paint a little thicker, just dip it in the brush into the paint and don't run it through the paint. Okay. Yeah, that's cute. And I've got chalk marks on there, so we'll see. We can always connect it up later if we decide we have to have it, you know, connected if we don't like it. All right, let's do our corners here. And I think I'm just gonna swoop in like this. Kind of almost like it's stitched. Like that. And then go above it with our highlight.
And then we have one more present kind of thing to discuss.
What is that?
It has to do with Patreon.
Oh yeah, gosh, we have a lot of new stuff, don't we, today? Yeah, so Patreon gifting is new. So if you've wanted, membership to our Patreon, and if you want to know what Patreon is where I have the traceables. So the $5 tier is traceables and bonus videos. That's where the new beginner series is being done for the patrons there, and And then the $10 tier, we're doing more advanced type lessons. So $15, I'm sorry, yeah, it changed. $15 tier. Let me show you what we're working on. We're working on a fabric. So we're going to be working on ornaments. So there's our first one. We're doing a bird ornament, vintage ornaments. We'll do a bunch of them on white paper, and that way we can easily cut them out and make a fabric out of them. And I'll show you how to do the digital design of the fabric. So we're going to work on that for 4 more weeks until Christmas, be finished just before Christmas. So if you've ever wondered how to do that, I have several fabrics on spoon flour, and so I'm just kind of sharing. This is the first time I've shared how I do that. So that tier, those lessons on Thursdays are usually about an hour to 1 to 3 hours, depending on how far along we are, and if I want to get finished with the project to move on to something else. Sometimes I go longer but usually they're about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah, but really fun. It's a really fun group of people in there too. Really nice. And there's also a Facebook group where you can share what you're working on and get critiques and things. So it's a little bit more like if you're ready to take it to the next level, want a little bit more in-depth design. We go a lot over the design. So like with this, I kind of skipped the whole first video basically, because I would have shown the drawing and how I decided what colors to use, how I decided what design to use on the windows and doors and all that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that we do in that group on those Thursday lessons. Much deeper dive into the design process and just overall composition and things like that. So anyhow, all that to say, if you're interested in that, but you don't feel like you want to spend the money on yourself, you can ask for that for Christmas now. The Patreon has a gifting thing that you can share my link, and it's Angela Fine Art, it's patreon.com/Angela Fine Art/gift.
Yes.
Mark's posting it in the chat right now as we speak.
Yep.
And I'll put it in the video description too. I don't have it in there right now, but I'll put it in there.
Yeah, so
You can share it.
Yeah, share that link with somebody in your
Yeah.
holiday wish list. And
Tell them what tier you want,
Mhm.
And then, yeah.
the $1 million tier is the off-menu tier, but it's available. Again, comes
It
with
is not available.
one free lawn mowing or snow blowing, driveway snow blowing. Your choice depending on where you live in the world.
Not true. Not at all true.
It could be a thing.
I'm using some of that dark green to kind of create a pathway there. And put a little bit at the bottom of the door there. There's steps in the picture, so I might just put one little bit of snow there. And then I think I'm just going to get some of that and kind of dab it along the bottom there as if it's sort of, just kind of clean up that bottom edge. Give it a little bit of an icing look, kind of like I did on the corners. And again, you can put whatever you want on here, If you want to do candies or other things down here, you can. All right, I did all these really juicy things on the side. I may have to have you take this and dry it because I don't know, because I'm going to put my hand in it. I know, because I got a lot of line work to do, and I'm going to have to turn these to get the lines just right. Cute. Cute. Give him a little doorknob. I'm going a little smoother on this. I don't know why, but I am, so you can go a little bit more dabby with it if you want to match up. Probably should. Just a little bit more dabby. That window is probably too big, but you know, hindsight. Do our little cross pieces. Might leave my cross pieces with the gray. Just set them back a little bit. Okay, that's cute. I think that needs to be angled though. If you think about it like that, well, I guess it's kind of lined up, isn't it? All right, I guess it's all right. If you want to do the little fancy swirlies around the door, you could do that. This is so customizable. It's a fun thing about something like this is you can kind of, you know, let your imagination go. I for sure would say do your own thing with this one. There's so many ways to make this fun and kind of whimsical and all your own. Okay. Yeah, I think part of the problem is my door and my window are not lining up. That's why it's looking a little off. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm going to give it to Mark and let him take it. Okay, so when we get to doing we'll go back to this. When we get to doing our curlicues and line work and things, there's going to be a couple brush strokes that'll be important. So I'm getting a little bit of water with my paint here just to make it easier to show you this. But comma stroke will be one that we'll do a lot. So we're going to set the brush down, again, kind of holding it up over the area where we want. And then as I lift up, I'm going to just slightly kind of pull back on the brush as I pull it down. So that'll be in a lot of this. And then we're going to do some curlicues here. So we'll have like some, this brush may not do it for me. I think it was just grabbing onto the paper. So practice this on paper. But you should be able to get this in one swoop. If you can't, what you can do, it's easier usually to pull down towards yourself, so you can do that. And then do this. Just, you know, try to line it up as best you can until you're kind of right about there. And then do it again. You can always turn it if you're finding one way is easier for you to do than another. And just do it in little brush strokes. Just try to smooth out your transitions. So if you can't get it all in one, you know, first go, that's okay. You know, you can do it in little sections. Sometimes you can see little, you know, the little joints to doing it that way though. So if you can practice on paper and get some, you know, get some of these motions down. One of the other ones is going to be like a little heart, so we'll do one in opposite directions, like that. If you have like the back end of your brush or a stylus tool that's got the little metal tips, you can use those for dots. Really easy to make dots, and you know, the more you dot, the smaller they get. You know, so you can start big and. Let's try that again. Start big and then get smaller and smaller as you come around, you know. If you want them all the same size, then you'll need to dot almost every time, you know, you do it. But those are going to be the two main brush strokes that we're going to use, and we're just going to use them in varying sizes. So we'll do some bigger ones and then we'll do some smaller ones. And as we get going, you know, I may do like some that are all, you know, on one side coming into the center and then turned and again towards the center like that. Those are kind of more like straight lines, but I'm just lifting just as it's hitting that line. Okay. And then you know, of course, with our white, we're going to be doing each one of these twice. So we'll come back in and highlight each one just a little bit like that. Okay. So that's what we've got going on. Okay, thank you. Yeah, they were really thick, and I know I was gonna be putting my hand in them for sure. So, yeah, I definitely got that that window a little bit off. I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it. All right, so let's just go ahead and start putting in our little details. So, kind of above the door, I've got like a little starburst kind of thing happening. So I'm going to start there and do like that and that. Yeah, I may have to move that completely. I didn't notice it when I was doing it, but now that I'm getting this going, it's definitely obvious that that is off right there. I may make it wider over here and see if I can compensate. Just make it a little bit wider on this side. Okay, it's helping maybe a little bit, but darken that up and fix that so that it's more lined up with the rest. I can widen that out a little bit. I can also move my door that way a little bit to help if I want to, you know. Okay. Yeah, because this is lined up here, but this is not, you know. So this needs to go a little bit wider, I think. So I'll just make my door a little bit wider. Which is fine. This is easier to do than fix than moving my white, so. Much better. He's a little bit wonky. I don't know how this happened, but just wasn't paying attention when I was painting in the door and the window, I guess. Got it a little bit off center. Which it makes it difficult. The only reason that I'm worrying about it at all is because we're doing all this symmetrical work, you know. And so any little differences in the width is going to be obvious once we get our symmetrical stuff going on. But let's go ahead and do our little S strokes, which we were practicing on paper. Those are fun. And actually having this one smaller will make this look like it's going away a little bit, so not that mad about it. I think I'm going to do a little bit different design than I have in the picture. I think I'm going to do a line down and those little leafy details. Like that. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah, I'm going to switch to my brush too, because this one is not coming together for me really well. I have 1, 2, 3, so 2, 3 sets of leaves. Yeah, it's not bad. We're getting it. But I am going to switch brushes because that one is not, it's not coming to a point for me well, and I need it to in order to do this. So, all right, got 30 minutes. Let's get it going. Let's get on it. I'm gonna do the same thing here. I think I'm gonna do like there, and I'm gonna do leaves around this, I think. And then we'll do some dots down between these. This is kind of very like Scandinavian design, which I love the look of that. Okay, so we'll do the leaves. Trying to get it as even as I can, but I kind of got it a little close to the edge there. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. And I can go back over this and kind of round out those tips there. If you kind of take your time with it a little bit more than I am, then you can get better marks. Let's do a little swirly. I think I want to do, let me see. Maybe we'll just do like little curly cues right here on either end. And then do little like that. Yeah, that's cute. And then do, it's a little bit different than I have in my picture. Close though. And then let's do a heart right here. These brushes are fighting me tonight. Neither one is coming to a good point for me. Okay. Yeah, cute.
Your #1 fan has joined us.
Noah. Hey, sweet girl. How's she feeling? She was sick. Last time Nathan talked to Nathan. This is my granddaughter. Sorry, we just use the video to catch up on family business there. Sorry. Don't worry about it.
And which brush are you using right now?
This is the 4 round in the VelvetTouch. Cute. Look at how much lighter that color looks against this darker background, because it's the same color, but it's so funny how that works. All right. Yeah, so we'll just do a couple little dots here and here, and maybe like a dot here and here. really you can do as much or, much detail as you want. Again, this is really super customizable, easily changeable. Let's do some dots here, here. Dots here.
Got a question.
It's cute. Yep.
Do you think that a metal leaf technique could work on something like this?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that'd be cute. You could do your glue in this and then, yeah, do your metal leaf. Is that what you mean? Like going over it with the, that's what I'm assuming you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, let me think here. What do I want to do here? I thought I might do a starburst instead of doing the...
She's doing better.
I'm going to put my hand on... I'm going to turn it upside down. What? She's been better? Good. Good. Yes, I think I'll do like that and do a little starburst. Cute. That's fun. All right. And then let's give it some leaves coming down this way too. I almost want them to come up though, since these ones went down. I wonder if we should do some coming up on either side this way. Do our, let me think. We could do a little curly Q here. Let's do a little curly Q right here. And a little dot. Looks like a little mustache. Cute. And then Fitzy's sighing over here. He's like, seriously, is this not over yet? Yeah, I'm just trying different things here, trying to see what I want to do. I'm afraid that if I do another really droopy thing, that it'll all look like it's drooping. So I kind of want to do something that's kind of upswept, I think. So if I do my leaves, I might do them curling in this way. And then do my little hearts on either side. Let's do let's do this because I want to make sure that I have room for it. So let's do my leaf here. And I'm deliberately making this size a little bit smaller just because we're kind of cramped for space too. But also, problems. Yeah, that works. Okay, so then do our little bloopies, leaves. I'm definitely being a little bit messy with this. I need to take time to load my brush right. I'm being lazy about loading my brush. Yeah, see, if I load the brush right, it's easy. I'm just not loading my brush the way I'm supposed to, which means like rolling it to a point so that I start with the point and then I can get those rounded edges that I want. Okay, cute. Yeah, so that upswept needed to happen. And then we'll do our hearts kind of tilted in, I think, here. I can feel wet on my hand. Touched that. Okay, so it's like right in the middle there. I hope you guys try this. It's actually really fun. I did a whole deer, like one of the very first videos I did for YouTube was a deer silhouette in line work. And this reminds me of it a little bit. It has that kind of like a little bit of a Scandinavian feel. I'll look that up. I think it's deer silhouette, floral deer silhouette, maybe was the name. Yeah. I don't have it anymore. I gave it away. It's a gift.
Gave it away.
David's got it, my brother. Okay. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. Okay, now dots. Just a few little dots, and this is where I'm noticing the asymmetricalness, so this probably could have been moved over, because now when I do this dot, it's going to be in the wrong spot, but I'm going to try to get it as close as I can to where it should be. And let's do a little dot above the little hearts. Cute. All right. I like that. I think that works. Very fun. Let me go ahead and put my window back in now. Here we go. And then let's wipe off our chalk marks on our roof. And then I'm going to go back over here, which I don't know why I did this side first instead of that side, because now I just have to make sure I don't put my hand in it, right?
Because you like the challenge.
I like the challenge of trying to avoid putting my hand in paint. Yeah, this is working. I think it helps having it just really thick on the brush and just kind of leaving a little bit of that gray showing in places. So see, so the white's going down, but it's not fully covering all the gray. And I think I want more white on my roof here, brighter white. I'm going to go back over those lines with a little bit thicker paint. I got the dots pretty good, but I didn't do the lines thick enough, I think. Excuse me. Losing my voice. This dry air does it to me. It's starting to get, you know, the heat on stuff. Just okay, that's better. A little bit more precision there. Cute. Just by starting out with different colors on our gingerbread house, now we're, you know, we don't have to have the, you know, it automatically makes it look shadowed. I could probably, if I was smart, I probably could have done my gray in this area on this one a little bit darker, and then done the light gray as my icing color, or the highlight color. But we can always glaze back over that this whole area if we need to, if it looks too dark or too bright. She kind of does, so. But that's going to have to be another time because we won't have time to do that today. It won't dry in time. These are too thick. But just food for thought. If this side is looking, you know, which it is kind of looking a little too bright, you can use a darker gray here. And then use the medium gray, the shadow color here for the highlight here. If you start out with a darker gray to begin with. But we can also, like I said, glaze over this once it's dry with a darker gray, or even like just a kind of a gray on this whole edge here, just to tone everything down a little bit, because that's what I did in my reference. If you can see there, it's a little bit darker. So. Went on really thick right there for some reason. There we go. Start at the top, Angela. So I'm not doing the lines necessarily. I'm just trying to hit the top edges, and then this is where I can kind of like load up some, you know, fake snow and really like highlight brighter certain areas, like on the top of the doorway and the window there. And then I do want to do some icicles too, but I wanted to get all this down first before I did my icicles, because I didn't want to have to paint around them. I'm going really heavy with the paint here so that it's going on nice and thick. And just quickly swooping in over where I've already done. Leaving just a little bit of the gray showing. I really like that little detail there. That's probably my favorite. And if you want it to look like sugared, you know, like some of them look sugared, if you know what I mean, you know, like the gingerbread, the whole thing has got like a coating of sugar. You can, before you do this, you can do one more layer of the stippling with the white, so that everything's a little bit more powdery looking, you know. That's just one of the things that I'm seeing too, is some of the gingerbread houses that I'm seeing in retail shops have kind of a sugared icing look. Where it looks like it's, you know, been dusted with sugar on top. This is really fun, isn't it? I'm really liking how this is turning out. Really cute. Hope you guys try it. I know it's like a little bit more on the difficult side. Oh, I didn't do anything on my door. I almost don't think it needs it though. Like I'm just, you know, just noticed it, but I kind of feel like it is kind of nice to have a little breather there with all this detail everywhere. Maybe just do a few dots. I don't know, what do you think? What do you guys think? Door, no door. Detail on the door, no door. Maybe a little heart, a little circle, maybe another one of those. I did like that. Or a little flower. Let's do a little flower. Let's do a little flower. Little tiny flower. Kind of almost like a wreath.
Ooh, I like that.
It's cute. And I'm not sure I'll do anything else actually. I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Maybe do a little dot in the center. Okay, that's cute. It's a little bit small. I don't know. I'm on the fence about the door flower.
I think.
Because now I feel like it needs more. If I did that, it's almost too little. You think what?
No, I think it's good.
You think it's good enough?
Yes.
Okay. Should I do the leaves? No?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
All right.
But I think, are you going to snow up the trees?
Yeah, I can.
Well, I didn't know because in your reference it has
Yeah, it's a little bit
line
more
work,
snowy.
but I didn't know if you don't have to. I just want to make sure they weren't like
No, I kind of was leaving them more vague.
feet. That's fine.
Yeah.
If it's intentional, that's
Deliberate.
great.
Yeah.
But if it was feet, I just want to make sure.
I didn't forget the feet.
Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
You're welcome.
I'm going to kind of brush over that a little bit with some snowy. And yeah, when my idea was to make them look like bottle brush trees, which if you did that, you would go back in and stipple a million little stipples. But I decided not to do that to myself on a Tuesday. But that would be an option, you know, just to give them that vintage look. Okay, so I'm just going to do some different size icicles here. Just going to set my brush down and pull down. Cute. I don't know. I mean, you could leave this part off if you don't like it. So, it's an option. Again, it's all kind of just whatever you like. You want color? Add color. I would, you know, you could add candies. I'm just going to use white here. It just seems like it's... And the nice thing, too, about this, waiting to do it now, is that I know where to avoid. I don't want to do icing like right here that's going to cover any of the details that I want to leave. So I can kind of move around things and put it on in strategic places. So
Strategery.
yeah, strategery. Yeah, that's super cute. Super cute. I like it. I hope you guys try this. You can share it with me on my social media. I've got links in my video description. So if you've decided to try this and want to share it, you can find those links down in the video description. There's usually like if you don't know where that is, there's usually like a little arrow below the video or more. Like you'll see the kind of beginnings of the description where it'll say, you know, paint along with Angela, whatever. I can't remember what it says exactly, but then, you know, if you click on see more, it'll click down that description for you and you can see all of the info about Patreon and where to buy art supplies using my links too. With Black Friday coming up, I got all kinds of links for Amazon and Blick and you know, all this stuff that I normally use in my videos. Doesn't cost you anything more, but it helps support our channel if you use our links. You get a little bit of a commission for sending people their way. So it's nice.
Yeah, so if you're shopping the specials on Amazon,
Right.
just open up the video here, click Angela's Amazon link, and then shop away.
Yep. Yep. It's a nice little easy way to support the channel without any cost to you.
Exactly.
All right, I think I am going to add a few little snowy swoops on my trees here.
Hashtag snowy swoops.
Yeah, that's cute. So just using the blender brush here. This right here is kind of bugging me. I don't know what I'm doing here. I need a picture. 'Cause like, these are going in the wrong direction. Okay, let's wipe it off. This is where wiping comes in handy. Let's wipe off that part right there. That's where it went off the rails. Just make sure it doesn't get on anything else. Okay, there we go. Let's try that again. I'm going to start from the top down because I know what that's going to look like. And then start kind of swooping in from the sides. Make sure that's dry though. Okay, there we go. There we go. Might have gone a little heavy right there again, but you know what? Kind of doing a little bit more zigzaggy. I think this one's a little bit more effective. Kind of just swooping from the side in. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit better.
Yeah, the trees look like they go now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I think I'm just going to do a couple little very simplistic snowflakes in the sky. Just dotting on the ends. Trying to make them at different heights. And sizes. This one is getting kind of blurry. Okay, let's splatter it with a little bit of snow, just a little bit, just so that it kind of matches our background. Just tappy tap. There we go. Well, we're done. That was fun. I enjoyed it. This part's not bothering me as much now that we got all this brightened up. Doesn't look as, but if it does look too bright, you can still kind of shadow that side a little bit if you want. So, all right, hope you try it. Give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll be doing no video next week. We're off for Thanksgiving break, but then we'll be back with a really simple and easy winter trees, which very similar color scheme. So I need to get my act together. This was good practice, all right, for these trees. And we'll focus more on trees. So if that's something that you're interested in, we're doing several different kinds of evergreen trees with snow. And they'll be a little bit different colors and kind of just, but all kind of neutralish palettes. So hope you guys join me for that. And I think I'm going to sign this and call it good. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and happy Thanksgiving to our American friends. Hope you have a great time with your friends and family, and no stress. Not always as easy as said and done, but hopefully find somebody to enjoy the holidays with.
Amen.
And we appreciate you. And
Yes, we do.
my whole business name is Thankful Art, because I, many years ago, when life was a little bit rough, found a lot of comfort in having a thankful attitude towards even when things weren't going my way, and found that I found a lot more peace and comfort in viewing life that way than focusing on all the bad stuff. So trying to be grateful for the things that I have, and focus on those things instead of the negative. And anyhow, so that's why, I don't know, I never really talk about why I named my business Thankful Art, but maybe I should more. Anyhow. Nothing to say. All right. Okay, so we're thankful for you guys, and I hope you guys have a blessed holiday, and we'll see you next time. Bye.